I'm Mike Kitko. You guys, hopefully, you know me if you're watching this, and maybe not everybody, especially people on my page, not everybody knows this young man, this awesome young man. And first of all, this is Justin Dossey.
What's up, everyone?
Justin is an awesome friend, an awesome ally. We started off as a coaching client, but grew into a powerful relationship, ally relationship, working with his family, working with his business, doing some work in their mastermind. But we've grown close. We've grown connected, so connected that we invited Justin and Kara to be our business partners. So Justin Dossey and Kara Dossey are business partners of ours. And together, the four of us run Inner Wealth Global. So I wanted to get Justin. We tried to do this in the Business Freedom Academy a few weeks ago.
Unfortunately, yeah. Right. We had StreamYard changed things.
We had a big false start because like StreamYard did this whole trickaroo after we scheduled it, that they took away the ability to live stream directly from StreamYard into the Business Freedom Academy or into a Facebook group. So here we are.
Yep.
And this is why the logistical nightmare of sharing it everywhere. But guys, listen, I wanted to bring Justin on here. We've got a really cool coaching container solution, business solution container offering launching on August 5th. And I just wanted to bring him on here so we can talk about, why we launched this thing, what problem it helps correct, and like what's given us the experience to be able to solve these. So Justin, go ahead and do a quick intro for yourself.
Sure. Yeah. So like Mike said, my name's Justin. Been working with Mike, I don't know, since before COVID. I know it was before COVID, but like 2020, 2021, somewhere around there. And have been fortunate enough to get to know him and his wife very well, his family. And we've, like I said, grown a lot together. And in the time I've worked with him, like our businesses have pretty much doubled in that time frame. And it's been really, really cool to see the overall growth that we've seen. And for me, I own a couple companies. One of them is called Ballpoint Marketing. You can see the big ass sign right behind me. That's our direct mail marketing company here in St. Peters, Missouri. And then we have another company called Call Porter that does live answering for real estate investors. So been around the real estate investing space a long time. I've helped in multiple coaching groups over the years. My brother owns one that I've been involved in. And, I think the cool part for me with being able to come into Inner Wealth is I love helping other people grow their businesses and actually enjoy it while they're doing it. Like that was a big thing that switched for me probably a little over a year ago, I think, is like realizing that like you can actually enjoy what you're doing and not just be miserable and working and like, hey, actually I'm going to enjoy this. But, during the last, it'd be almost 7 years in October that I've been an entrepreneur, went from like kid that barely graduated high school, your typical entrepreneur, was like the last person in my grade essentially to graduate, and didn't really know what I wanted to do, and got to the point where I had a couple opportunities to be involved in some companies my brother had started, and learned a lot, failed a lot, paid a lot of money for a lot of coaches over the years, and now we have multiple 7-figure businesses that we run. I think we've got 40 something employees across both of our companies right now. And with Inner Wealth, it's the 4 of us right now, but that will grow as time goes. But excited to kind of be involved with this, but also involved in this coaching container we're doing for the next month, starting on August 5th, like Mike said, to really help people like shorten their learning curve, I think is a good way to say it. Like there's a lot of, I think, misconceptions when you're starting a business or when you're starting to grow one of what people have seen online or what people have heard. And if they don't have experience in running a business, my journey from starting to where we're at now probably could have been even shorter had I started paying coaches sooner and learning from those people first instead of being stubborn and trying to figure it all out myself. But super excited for it.
Other people's wisdom, buying
other people's.
buying other people's wisdom, buying other people's mistakes and the lesson learned, and education, and buying allies and buying support and buying
Yeah.
answers instead of just like stumbling to this, imaginary finish line. You're going to do it all yourself, right? But just to summarize, Justin runs two multiple 7-figure businesses in the real estate investment space and others and beyond. But also, since he's started working with Inner Wealth Global, our sales have doubled. So this guy has a magic touch in terms of building things from the ground up and really like making an impact from a leadership perspective. He's a CEO of all these businesses. So, and there's a reason he's got that powerful title, because he kind of knows what he's doing. And as you were talking, you said, there's some false information, or people sometimes when you start building an entrepreneurial business, you tend to go down like rabbit holes in the wrong hole. Like for me, and when I've worked with people like micro entrepreneurs and with micro businesses, and they're out of the chute, the first thing they focus on is getting a website, getting business cards, and getting an LLC. And I'm like, you don't have any fucking sales. What are you doing? Why are you worried about any of that stuff?
Got to be official first.
Yeah, right. So it's like there are phases and there are steps of building an entrepreneurial business. What's some of the bigger pitfalls and roadblocks that you've seen and you've witnessed, JD?
Well, it's funny, the things you started with, I did all those. I was like, well, I'm not a real business if I don't have a website, if I don't have this or this or this. And it's, I think could be a fear thing. I think for me, it was a stalling tactic from like stopping to actually do work, right? Like I'm kind of doing some stuff, I'm working on my website, I'm working on this. And it's like, yeah, but you're not actually doing anything. You're not helping anybody. You're not bringing any revenue in, right? So, I mean, the first thing is like just getting started, right? I talk about this a lot on just like social media or in Inner Wealth on the business calls. It's like, if you're not making 10 grand a month, like you should only be focused on sales right now, right? Like that's all you need to focus on. There's a very common thing I've seen with a lot of business owners that I'll talk to them, in January, and then they're, in January, I'm working on my systems, I'm getting my system set up, I'm getting my processes down and getting all that started. And then in June, I'm getting my systems, I'm getting my processes. Like, okay, cool. What are you doing per month? Well, it's pretty much the same. Like, okay, got it. So we're focusing on the wrong things right now.
Right.
And I don't want it to, I want to make the point that there should be some process, right? But like very minimal, because when you're growing a business and you're starting from zero and trying to get to 30 grand a month, 40 grand a month, 50 grand a month, whatever it is, if it's new to you, you don't know what you don't know yet. So if you build this system and then you start throwing stuff into it and nothing works, you just wasted 6 months or however long you spent doing this. Where, coming from, let's say, real estate investing, for example, yeah, you should know that once you have your house, you have a contract, you have that contract ready to go before you go and look at the house, right? Like little things like that should be ready, but you shouldn't have automations and all of this notifications and all of this different tracking setup just yet, because you're not 100% sure what you actually need until you really start to see revenue coming in from it and seeing where the different things are coming into place. So that's probably the biggest one I see. The second, because sometimes I still do this, is shiny object syndrome. You go to an event, you see something on Facebook ads or Instagram or YouTube, you listen to a podcast, and there's so many ways to be successful in business. And you always think what you hear that's new is the way that it's going to get you to where you want to be. And in my experience, pretty much all forms of marketing work. If you do them enough, you do them the right way, you tweak and adjust, you can attract customers in many, many different ways and many different things. And, I'm just going to keep using real estate as an example, but, you could focus on wholesaling at first and then go to a conference and hear about novations. And then you hear about somebody killing it in flips. And then you hear somebody killing it in midterm rentals, and you're still like not doing anything. They all work. right? But it's like those people are focused on those ones specifically for a specific amount of time, because you want to master one thing before you move on to multiple things on top of that, and are trying to scramble and then manage 7 different things that are half working. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do. And one thing that when you were talking about the systems bent, what kept like rolling through my mind, people that are focused on systems, it's early entrepreneurs trying to avoid having problems in their business.
Yeah.
And as entrepreneurs, I think it's really, I'm sorry.
So that's a really good way to say that.
I think this game of entrepreneurism is about creating bigger problems that we get to solve. And that's directly from Grant Cardone. I got to give credit where credit's due. Entrepreneurism is about solving bigger problems that we get to solve, and then you grow as a business owner by solving bigger problems. And the bigger problems you are equipped to solve as a business owner, the bigger your business will get. But early stage entrepreneurs spend a lot of time trying to avoid having problems in our lives, in our businesses. But that's the whole game of entrepreneurship, is creating bigger problems. And I'm not saying you don't need to legalize your business. What I'm saying is give yourself a reason to need a bank account. Give yourself a reason to need a website. Give yourself a reason to need an LLC, but you don't have a reason when you don't have any clients. Like, give yourself a reason to need a system, but have so many sales that you need to systematize. But if you don't have an overcapacity problem, you don't need a system. And I love what you said about your only focus should be on getting more sales, because cash is the lifeblood of any business.
Yeah, if you don't have cash, you don't have a business. You don't have customers, you don't have a business. And it's you said something a second ago, and I totally forgot what I was going to say to it. I don't remember. We'll see if it comes
bigger
back.
Problems, growing.
Oh yeah, creating bigger problems. That's what it was. And it's a mindset shift. It was for me anyway, as I used to do that exact same thing. I'd need to avoid all the problems. Problems hurt. I don't like problems. Let's not do these. And my business grew very, very slowly.
Very little.
It's like very, very little. And for me, I mean, if you look at it from a sales perspective, your goal in sales should be to get to a no, because the more no's you get, the closer you get to a yes, right? And same exact thing with a business, is the more problems you create, the bigger your company is going to grow. I can't give too many details yet because it's not live yet, but like we just brought on our single largest client ever at Ballpoint Marketing, that we're in the process of finishing a couple things before we launch with them. But like, we're talking another multiple 7 figures per year very, very quickly with this company. And we said yes immediately. We're like, hell yeah, like we're gonna do this. And then while we're building the website and the forward facing stuff for customers that they're going to need to order, we were like, okay, what equipment do we need? What staff do we need? And like, that was our problem. It was like, okay, we don't have this piece of equipment. We don't have this piece of equipment. We don't have this one. How can we find them? What are the best ones? And that's what I've been doing the last month and a half, is solving that problem. So we are ready to go, running through tests, finding contingencies, all that kind of stuff in case a printer goes down, right? Like, how do we make sure that that customer is happy and satisfied and we can fulfill what we're doing? But 3 years ago, I would have been like, there's not a chance in hell we can fulfill that. I don't know how. That's not a thing that we can do. So it is a big mindset shift as a business owner, is creating those problems that you then get to solve. That's how you grow rapidly.
And I remember being on the phone with you a couple of years ago as we were working through this. And I said, go get a bigger order than you can handle. Let's go. Let's solve that problem on a coaching call for once, instead of I got all these machines that aren't working. Let's go get the other problem where I don't have enough capacity, and then we get to solve that. And I remember being back in corporate, and the sales guys would say, hey, Mike, and we do have to have some capacity management. We do have to have our mind on what is the capacity of my business and my throughput, especially when you're in a, like, your marketing, your Ballpoint Marketing business, where you do have a finite capacity, and you do have to play to that, but you have to be aware of it. But you also have to be aware of how to expand it upon need. So, and I remember back in corporate, when I was running manufacturing plants, and the sales guys would ask me, do you have the capacity? I'm like, get me the PO and I'll create the capacity. I'll break the line so I can fix them. And that's exactly how we increase capacity in corporate America. Is I would break my manufacturing line so I had something to fix so I could expand my capacity. But until there was something to break, I didn't know what my true capacity was. I just had to
just
break
maintaining at that
yeah,
point.
Absolutely. So that's what this whole game of business is. It's about creating problems that we get to solve, but understanding that there are phases to the evolution of a business. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's a true pattern to it that from a time standpoint, right? But there's heavy times of growth and there's heavy times of building and updating your systems, right? Like a big thing I wish I would have known originally was like when you start building some processes out or some systems to manage whatever you're doing, doesn't matter what business it is, when you 3x your business and your revenue, all that stuff's going to break and you're going to have to fix it. Then when you 10x, it's going to do the same thing. It was the guy that did the Toyota manufacturing line, I think originally, that figured that out. And I never remember his name, but they were able to pinpoint that at 3x and at 10x is when everything kind of started to break. And I used to look at it as falling apart, where it's like, no, we just now get to implement and update some stuff and adjust things. And now recognizing and knowing when that comes, you can plan for it. And it's not scrambling trying to fix a problem. Now you can preemptively work on fixing that problem. And maybe it's a software, maybe it's a system, maybe it's team, right? Maybe it's more sales, less sales sometimes. But I have found that it's always, there's ups and downs that kind of go through time when you're growing your business, that you need to do different things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll piggyback onto what you were saying. The same team that got you here isn't going to get you to 10x. The same talent that you have in house isn't going to get you to 10x. The same systems, the same programs, the same processes that got you here aren't going to get you to 10x. Yeah. These things need to break so they can be rebuilt. And there again, I want to go back to, there is a proactive nature to some of this, but there's not a proactive nature to all of it. Some of it you break so that you can fix it. You don't prevent the break. You break it so you can fix it. Get a bigger PO than you can handle, so you have something to increase the capacity for.
Yeah, so and I think a big part of it too is like I've done this, and I know other business owners that have done this. That it's like you get to a point and you're like, oh, I don't do that anymore. That's not in my job description anymore. I've got somebody that does that. And when I started getting back into helping out in basic entry-level positions, right, I found all kinds of inefficiencies. I didn't even know were there. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? Like it was probably a year ago, I was out on the floor with doing postcards, and there was one silly little thing that we were doing with postcards where we were weighing them every single time, right? We were weighing them to get the quantity, and then we would have to fill out forms to drop it off at the post office. And it's like, this takes so much time because we have this little tiny ass scale that only so many postcards can fit on it. It takes forever. And it's like, we know how much a single postcard weighs. We know how big the order is because we have the list. Just do some math and we know the total weight, and we don't even have to put it on a scale. And we can save, 10 hours a week worth of people just weighing shit, like little things like that you don't think about. So as you're growing, like, I think it's an important thing to step back into certain roles as you're doing that. So you as the business owner who has the big picture of everything can kind of see, hey, this doesn't make sense anymore. Let's adjust this and change this. And I think a lot of people shy away from doing that. And that's when you can start to run into some problems that you're not expecting, or you just have inefficiencies that you can tweak.
Sure. And I know for me in early stage of Inner Wealth, the process I used to grow the business to multiple six figures is just act, learn, revise. So I think what you're talking about, what I'm hearing is I went act, learn, revise, act, learn, revise, act, learn, revise. And I just started taking massive action, right? And to gain momentum. But at some point you step back into the business because you've made some messes and now it's time to clean them up. So
Yeah.
sometimes it's necessary to make those messes instead of preventing, but we got to go back and double back and clean them up. So
Yeah.
and I know I watched your manufacturing plant or your production operation at Ballpoint. I've watched it scale and I've watched it mature, and I've watched it grow, and that came from bigger and bigger orders and the need for more space and the need for more machines and the need for bigger capital purchases. I mean, holy cow! You just like installed the most expensive printer that I've ever heard about in the history of the world. But
and we're getting a new one that's bigger than that one too. but yeah.
But these things happen because you've created problems, and now you're cleaning up things and you're creating bigger problems, so you get to solve things. So the emphasis for an early stage entrepreneur, typically what I've found, is to try to prevent problems. And we are just problem creators. That's what makes us successful.
Yep.
So what in the path to six figures, the coaching container that we're going to launch on August 5th as part of Inner Wealth Global. So you bring, and this is the part that we've been missing in Inner Wealth Global for a long time, right? I am not like excited to teach about business building. That's just not my forte. I'm more of a clean up the clutter that's inside so we can enjoy this journey guy, right? So Justin's statement to CCF, the CCF community, when I spoke to him one time, was the year that I've worked with Mike at that point was the happiest year of my life. Like, that's my jam. But your jam is business building. And every Friday at 1 p.m. Central, you lead the business call for our mastermind. In the path to six figures that we're getting ready to launch on August 5th, you're going to be addressing 4 specific elements on the path to six figures. Can you talk about those?
Yeah, absolutely. And you want me to cover the outline too of what it'll look like each week?
Cool. Talk about the topics and how you're going to address those.
Yeah. So it'll be a month long. We're doing 2 calls every week, right? Monday and Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m. And the Monday calls are going to be teaching, right? Going over different things. So week 1, we're going to cover foundations, right? If you don't have a strong foundation in your business, it's probably going to have some problems. And there's a reason why. I don't even remember how many. It's like 80% of businesses fail before 5 years, and then another 60% of those fail before 10, right? Like, a lot of people don't start with a solid foundation, and that's a mixture of like your business setup, but also mindset type stuff, right? If you're one of my favorite quotes I heard, I think it was from Scott Oldford, where he's like, if you build a business out of fear and you're running away from something, it's going to fail, right? You're not inspired. You're doing it out of necessity. You're doing it out of fear of not having money, right? So we'll cover a lot of stuff for foundations, and these calls are going to be 2 hours long, very conversational, very open. Literally anything that people have, we're going to cover on those. But week 1 is foundations in your business. Week 2 is sales and marketing. Got to grow your business. There's multiple ways that you can do that. And we'll talk through just all kinds of different processes or conversations with people, marketing channels, things like that. Week 3 is going to be your team and company structure and how you need to be able to build your team to set yourself up for scaling, right? We talked about a little bit earlier, like the systems and processes is kind of like a buzzword when people are getting started. So is scaling. It's like most people that say scaling don't really understand what scaling is in the true sense of the word. And scaling is growing by hundreds of percentage points very, very rapidly and not having things implode on themselves. We came very close to imploding ourselves because of how fast we grew at one point. It was like 1,800% over 2 years, right? Something wild. And so having the correct team and company structure in place to be able to manage that and handle it, because you as the owner, it will fail if it all falls on you 100% every single time. I was just in North Carolina with my parents last week, and my dad was talking about it in his business, why he never grew past a certain point. He's like, because I couldn't give up any control to anybody else. He's like, everything fell on me. And he's like, I know that's why I failed and why I didn't, he's like, he did it for a long time and made good money, but he never grew past a certain point because every single thing fell on him: sales, marketing, install, invoicing, taxes, like literally everything. So we'll talk about team and company structure and how to set yourself up for success. And then week 4 is going to be scaling safely and how to do that and how to make sure that as you're scaling and growing, your company does well, your team does well, you're not stressed the hell out. You're going to be stressed, but like how to actually enjoy some of that process and have a good time while doing it, and kind of the things and stuff that you're going to need to scale safely. And it's cool when it happens. And it's, momentum is something we'll talk about on there. If anyone's ever read the 21 Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell, the law of the big mo is in there. And it's literally, once you have momentum, you better not lose it, because it is a difficult thing to get back. So capitalizing on that kind of stuff. So we'll do those calls on Mondays. And then on Thursdays is going to be open Q&A with Mike and myself. Literally anything that's in your business, personally, mindset, whatever it is, we're going to cover all of that and be there for that kind of stuff. And then those Monday calls, I think I forgot, is going to be led by me in support with Mike too. So there will be things that you're covering, maybe mindset stuff, questions that come up, all kinds of different things, but it'll be very collaborative, and I'm super excited for it. It'll be a lot of fun.
It is going to be a ton of fun. And from a mindset perspective, my favorite, I guess, little cliche that I use, I guess that's really, really true, is you can take a perfectly healthy business and system, and you can apply a perfectly broken mindset. It's just a matter of time before you'll have a perfectly broken business or system. So the mindset side is just as valuable and as important as the tactics and strategy, sometimes even more so, because you with the right mindset, you can build anything. With the right mindset, you can break anything.
Oh, it's 100% more important. 100% more important.
and it's understanding, the power of the mind over running something. If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Mm-hmm. So I'll be there to support that. Justin is a powerhouse when it comes to building businesses. I've seen his strategic mind in motion. I've seen it in action firsthand. And there's a reason that this guy has built multiple 7-figure businesses from the ground up. And there's a reason why Inner Wealth Global sales doubled, because, he basically started contributing. He's got knowledge and wisdom that most people can only dream of in the business building space. Nice. And we want to share that with people.
Mm-hmm.
We want to share that. And
yeah, that's, I don't know if I said it, but that's one of my favorite things to do. I like running businesses. I like growing them. I like helping people more. And I had a lot of help. I mean, you had a lot of help too, getting started. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the things that a couple of coaches told me. They're like, I should pay it back one day. Like, once you learn, you get to where you want to be, help others do the same thing. Cool. That's what I'm here for.
Yep. We accumulate knowledge and wisdom so we can share it with the world. And it just keeps trickling down. The way I express this, it's a hand up and a hand down. In the entrepreneur space, always have a hand up to people that have figured out stuff that you haven't figured out, but always have a hand down to people that are at a lower result level than you, and make sure that we're all just, being monkeys in a freaking barrel and just pulling each other up. And I think that works well. That's why Justin and I joined a coaching container, back in June, I think it was, just to experience, some growth together and go through this. And it gave us some insights, and it gave us some tactics and some strategies to be able to pass some of this stuff on to people. But Justin, anything else you want to share from a path to 6 figures a month perspective?
Yeah, I mean, on top of this, you guys will have, everyone that joins will be in a private Cohere group, which similar to school, if you guys are familiar with that, but it's an app where we'll be able to communicate in there. You'll have access to us all day, every day. So questions, comments, ideas, anything in there. Nothing's off limits for me. Happy to share anything in there. So you'll have that. And then for people that are signing up between now and the end of the month, we'll also do a one-on-one 20-minute call with you as well to just jumpstart everything too, at no additional cost. So there's a lot of value in this. $1,000 for the month, and to kind of hang out, learn, grow. And for me, when I started investing in our businesses, that's when things started to grow. Or really investing in myself to go and learn about how to grow businesses better and how to change my mindset. That's when things really started to take off.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And $1,000 for a month of powerful coaching. I know I charge $1,250 an hour for private coaching. So, put that in context. You get Justin, you get me, you get a community, and in our Cohere community, it's going to be powerful. And we're going to continue to share value and just keep inspiring people and cheer each other on. Right. But again, we're going to be teaching a lot about the what and the why of the phases and of the content that we're going to create. We're also going to be delivering a lot of how and make it really practical so you can take action and take steps so that there's results before the end of the month, not go on your merry way. And now it's up to you.
And each week is recorded and evergreen, so you have access to it forever. So if not everything applies now, that's no problem. You have access to this in the future where you can come back and view it too.
Guys, so for those of you who are on this live, Jeff and Kara and Blake says he owns robots. Yeah, that's right. Justin owns a lot of robots. Kara says she remembers when Ballpoint Marketing was in a small house setup, and then in my basement, now a fucking warehouse, right? So that's the power of building. And Justin, one more thing. When you said, scaling is about, 1,800%, we grow our business incrementally, but scaling is more about multiplication of our business. It's about multiplication of your business results, not just incremental improvement and growth, right? That should come on the early phase, but it's really when you hit that point, that peak point where you do have the right people in place and you do have the right foundation, you do have the right processes, you do have the right systems, then it's go time. That's when it's multiplication time.
So you can go from 30 grand a month to 400 grand a month, and
that's right.
Being able to scale and multiply those. Yep.
That's exactly right. So Kara will put the comments, and Kara is our awesome operations professional, operations manager, operations assistant, whatever you want to call Kara. She's awesome. It doesn't matter.
She's a dope wife too.
Yeah. It was funny. Yesterday we went to a meetup, and I got the opportunity to introduce myself, and my wife and Angie, my wife, walked up with me, and I said, "She's a fucking sexy beast, isn't she?" So she's freaking awesome. So you're also dealing with two men that love their wives like infinitely, and our family is integrated into our businesses, and there's work-life integration, not work-life balance. We've integrated our work and our life. It's powerful. But Carol put the link in the comments and in all of the videos. Guys, join us on this journey. It starts August 5th is going to be our first call. Get in here, $1,000 for the month. We're offering a 50% discount to anybody who's already doing business with Inner Wealth Global. So that you guys, if you're in our mastermind, either our two masterminds, you do some private coaching. If you're already doing business, jump in at 50% off and let's fucking go. Justin, it's going to be a good time.
I'm excited. It'll be a lot of fun.
All right, guys, crank up the registration. Get in there. Get your seat. We're only looking for a small number of people to do this. We've got it limited. We don't want this thing huge. So we've got a couple people in there now. We're looking to keep this thing small so we can, it's our first time doing this. So lock in your seat. And once the seats are gone, I'm not going to tell you how many, but once the seats are gone, they're gone. So jump in, grab your seat, get locked in today, and we'll see you on August 5th.